Hi, my name is Ryan Kingslien. I'm the founder of UArtsy. And one of the jobs I love doing the most is documenting some of the amazing knowledge that the teachers have at concept art workshops, at UArtsy, at ZBrush workshops, Game Art Institute, these different academies that we run. And in this lesson, what I want to do is talk to you about how Dylan Cole paints clouds. This is a real revolution for me. And it really just opened up my eyes to so much of the process and the craft. Because a lot of the times we just kind of think of clouds as this amorphous shape. You might just come in and, I don't know, say start to paint them with this simple little brush. Let's go into a brush, get it a little bit white, lower that down, and you might use something like this and switch it around and say start to kind of figure out where things are. But there's a whole process to this that I can show you. So now hopefully you've seen the lesson where I showed you how Dylan sets up a scene. And he sets up a scene by, let's just walk through what we've got set up here a little bit. We set up a ground plane. And we do some cool little texturing with the lasso tool, right? Then we set up the perspective, and we set up the perspective with a polygon tool. So make sure you check out the other little short video to see how this all works. It's really awesome, real simple, but it's not just the end of it there. We also set up a light coming in from one direction. This is going to be the main light source. Then we've got the dark or shadow coming in, and then we usually have like a radial grad somewhere that's just establishing a nice vignette to the whole thing. It's a real cool, real powerful way to get in and set things up. But let's get in and start talking about how clouds work. Because one of the key elements of understanding clouds, as Dylan Cole mentions in his course over at Concept Art Workshop, is that clouds are 3D. They have a bottom side that shoots back into perspective. They have a front side which catches the light, right? And then they've got a side which may or may not catch the light. It might be in shadow, depends on what's going on this side. So with this current light setup, with the light coming in from the left, let's say, most of the light is going to hit here. This area is going to be kind of shadow, and then of course we've got dark coming in here, so this is shadow as well. And the really cool way to set this up, just the awesome way to set this up, is you just come in with a lasso tool, which is how I created these guys. So I'll just create these again real quick for you. The way we do it is we come in with a lasso and we just kind of make some shape that seems to be able to head back into space. We fill it with some value. We come in here and adjust that with curves. Just kind of darken it, lighten it, whatever you want to do. Okay, clear that, come in and create another shape, which might come in and start to talk to that one, and maybe start to establish another form. Okay, maybe we want to get this tone, so there we go. Alright, and then once we've got this shadow side, underneath that shadow side, we create another layer, and here we do the same thing. We just establish some kind of light side. And so I'll press Control, or I'll press that, but then make sure I go into Levels, and we start to lighten that area. Right? Clear that out, and we do the same thing here. Okay. Done. Control L. Use levels to adjust it, something just so we can be working really quickly, real quick. And then once we've done this, we've got some basic cloud shapes to work with. So we may come in and start to say, I don't know, lock the transparency of these guys and switch back and forth as we kind of, let's say, let's take the light area. We're going to grab the shadow, and let's grab a really soft brush in there and just start to figure out what are the obvious shadow areas now. So with the light coming in from the side, we've kind of figured that out. What are going to be the obvious shadow areas as we kind of descend back in space? let's go in and say, okay, maybe there's an obvious shadow in there, and this is descending back, so there's going to be an obvious shadow there, and then this is definitely obviously in shadow, right? And then we'll come back in and let's select a white, but really start to nail this and really start to get that main direction of the light kind of all figured out. We can also create another layer that's kind of over the top of these guys, and let's just say press Control, click on the shadow, Control Shift, click on the light, so that we've got that area there. Control H to hide it, and then now I can kind of wander through these different areas. Let's come in and let's say increase my, and really say start to, I want this to be a little bit brighter. And let's decrease that flow back again. And then let's pick this color. Let's pick that. And work these shapes from here. Now these aren't full clouds, fully painted. This is really just to help me start to establish a composition and some kind of tool to work it from here. I could continue to kind of establish the individual tone and values, things of that nature, but I can also come into these shadow areas now. And the transparency is locked. I can start to define this light a little bit. So I might just establish a little bit of a gradient. Then I can always come into Edit, Fade Gradient, and I can edit that last stroke a little bit, right, to just add a little bit of quality to it. And then let's just really lasso out this area. So I only want the gradient on this cloud, because remember these clouds are both all one. So there we go, and I'll do the same thing. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll switch this around so it's the light one. And then I'll come into Edit, Fade Gradient. Okay, the key being don't try to get it all perfect and all right, because we can be modifying this and adjusting this as we go. There's an enormous amount that you can do. You just get in there, real quickly start to establish things. Start to see what can really work for you and build your piece. But it's a real fun way. You spend the time and you can start to get some really awesome results. Let's get our lights back in there and our brush system back in there. And then don't forget to put the little clouds going back in space to kind of help you get this feeling of things moving and adjusting. Hope you learned something. Hope this was helpful to you. Look forward to seeing what you do. Take care, and I'll talk soon.